Hi, this is Dustine from Two Lucky Cats. I'd like to show you another method today that you can use to decorate paper. This is a method for all of you out there who still love to color. It's a resist method of decorating paper, and we're going to use wax crayons and watercolor to create our designs. You can use this method on a variety of different papers. I use watercolor paper this time because I want to use the paper I create with this method in a project that I've created for you to do, and that is making a pamphlet book. And the weight of the watercolor paper is heavy enough so we won't have to wrap a board to make the book. The first thing that I want to do is explain to you what materials you'll need to do this, to decorate this paper. First, let me show you the materials that you'll need to do this project. Now, the first thing you'll need is paper, and I used watercolor paper because I want to use this paper with a project that I'll be showing you in another video. And the watercolor paper is thick enough to use to create a pamphlet book instead of having to wrap a board with paper. So I use watercolor paper. And I like this paper because it has a texture on one side and then it's smooth on the other side. And I thought that was interesting to use in decorating. Now, the size of the paper really depends on the project that you want to use it with, and also how much you like to color. I don't know if I really want to spend a lot of time, coloring a design on a big piece of paper, but papers this size, it was really no problem. So, aside from the paper, you're going to need some wax crayons for the resist. I did try these natural beeswax crayons, and they worked fine. They also had a bigger tip on them because I guess they're probably made for kids, but they worked real well. But my favorite was Crayola, and it's metallic FX crayons, so they add an additional shine to your design. And the other thing, the last thing that you'll need is some watercolors, and these are just an inexpensive set. I think they have 16 colors here, and I really like with this particular method, I like the way that the fluidity of the watercolor wash and against the texture of the crayon design. So you may already have a lot of these materials, so get them together and we'll come back and do some paper decorating. Now, for you to decorate paper, I have included some patterns in the PDF that you can use to trace around and color in. But there's also other ways that you can create patterns on your paper. And one way, an easy way of doing it, is just make lines with, you just need a ruler and make lines with different colors. Now, you have a lot of flexibility in doing this in terms of the colors that you use or how close that you space the lines. You can get different looks with it. And you can also do curved lines like this. What I do is I just start making one curved line and then I just follow it. Just repeat the same pattern over and over again. You can do things like this. You could just draw circles and maybe put a dot in it. If you want more uniform circles, you can get maybe a bottle cap or something and just trace around those. Here's another one I did with diamonds, and then I put dots in between them and a different color dot in the middle. Again, here's like a little heart that I traced and colored, and then I went over it with the watercolor. When you wash over your designs with the watercolor, it really does change the whole look of the pattern and the design. I suggest that you cut up little cards like this and you practice different looks and different types, different colors or different combinations between the crayons and the watercolor. So I use both sides for these to practice with. So here I just want to show you a fish And then let's just create a wash. And usually, for example, with water you have different shades of blue or maybe some green. And then you could just paint over it. And what I do is have some darker color, paint with some darker color. And this is, I have a little bit of turquoise and a darker shade of blue, and then kind of mix the colors together. But as you can see here, as I'm painting, it does go in the little spaces where you haven't colored. So that really makes it look interesting. And then you can use different colors and just add water to blend the colors together. So, you know, you get something like that. But it's really easy to do, and to tell you the truth, it's rather addicting. So I want to show you some of the combinations that I did here that we can take and we're going to make pamphlet books out of. Now here's a pattern that I gave you. As you can see here, I made stripes with white crayons, and then you probably don't notice, but I also did it with yellow crayons, and that adds texture to your whole pattern. And then I just traced around the leaf pattern, and then I painted over it with different shades of green watercolor, and I cut it out and I just glued it on the face of the book. And then, as you can see in the inside, you can also decorate that. You don't have to worry about wrapping any board to create your pamphlet book. And then this is another pattern that I have. And you could just make a curved line or a straight line, whatever you want. And I colored one half, one shade of green, and then the other half a different shade of green. Here's another design that I did. And again, this is included in the pattern, the moon and the stars. And I just did the stars on a sheet, and then I had a smaller piece, maybe a piece like this, and I traced the moon on it, and then I just used a silver crayon to go over it, and I did the stars in silver, and I used 2 different shades of blue. I cut this out and then I glued it on. Now you can see here I used the texture side of the paper on this, and then on the inside is the smooth surface. And again, I just drew different lines, and then I painted over it with a watercolor wash. Here's one that I like. Now, I cut a small stencil for this, and at a future video, I will be talking about stencils and how to use them. I just made the stencils for the leaves and for the 2 flowers here, and then I just by hand, I just drew in the stems and the little stem over here. But this little blue insert was a practice piece that I made. So then I just cut it out, and I backed it with a piece of plain watercolor paper to frame it, and then I glued it on the front. And then, as you can see in the inside, I have a different design. And then again, here's one. Of course, I have to do something with the cat since we're 2 lucky cats. So I drew this design, and this is squares. And all I did was take the ruler, and I just drew the line, and then I moved it over and lined up with the line I just drew, and drew another line. Once I did it across the page, then I just started at the top and came down and did the same thing to make squares. And then I just used the crayon, colored with the teal on the one squares and then white on the other squares. And then I think I took a turquoise and just painted down, as you could see, some of it. It fills in some of the lines in between where you color, especially because I did this on the textured side. And then on the inside, what this is, I drew lines and then I painted in between and put little dots. The only problem with using this white crayon on a waste piece of paper is sometimes it's very difficult to see it once you do it. Now this is another one I like a lot. This, I just drew the hearts on a sheet of paper, and then I colored them in with the gold crayon, and then I used like a a violet and a purple. And I just painted over, and as you can see, the places where I didn't color, fill in everything with the crayon. The colors, when you wash on top of it, the colors fill in these little spaces. And I like the look of that. And here's another design I created, again, just by using a ruler. And I just started at one end and just drew the line, and then I brought it up and matched it with that and drew another line and did it this way. And then I just did it the other way. And I made a dot in the middle, but you can make a little flower or a square or something to create your designs. And here, again, this is a wash of the violet, and then I took some orange, mixed a little white with it, and then washed it with the violet, and I like the way that looks. So I hope these give you some ideas that you can start with, both using the patterns that I've given you and how you can use a ruler or some simple geometric figure. You can cut out a square and use squares, repeat squares to make designs. Like I said, you can get a bottle cap and trace around it for circles. But try it because it's a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed this method of decorating paper. I have many other techniques to show you, so come check out our website, twoluckycats.com, or go to our Facebook page. Come back and see us again.